So a lot of guys probably thinking that you're better than me at video games, even though I've been playing League of Legends since 2011. And I've been a fighting game kid ever since 98. If I'm being honest, a lot of y'all can probably whoop me. Ain't no shame in it, I'm just stating facts. So the fusion baby between these two games set to release under the new title 2XKO. I don't know, personally, I like Projectile. It sounded grittier, it sounded like it had more personality. Anyways, a lot of people are wondering, who are we gonna see? Okay, so with my combined years of both League of Legends and fighting games, I think there's a few clues we can use to really understand who's going to be in the coming game. And what's funny is that the answers actually lie in the nature of the game itself. Let me explain. This is my roster for 2XKO. Now we need to address the elephant in the room, and that's the characters. More specifically, who we already know. And how many do we really hope to see? Now, a lot of people are pointing to the 2XKO website, and it shows 14 slots. 2 for characters have already been teased, so I guess that's any good place to start. Now, you may or may not be aware, but fighting games actually cover a wide array of playstyle, and unique toolkits of each character allow players to express themselves throughout the roster. Now, with that being said, games need to fill out a playstyle criteria just to round out the roster at launch. And with the characters that we already know, Darius, Echo, Arya, Yasuo, Illaoi, and the yet to be revealed Jinx and Katarina, we have a fair amount of rushdown characters to fill out the board. Now, Rushdown is a playstyle that focuses on getting close to your opponent and just relentlessly attacking them, not giving them any opportunity to retaliate. So with that being filled out, we need to fill out some of the other positions, mainly grapplers, zoners, all-rounders, and let's say stance characters. Now, a lot of these playstyles we like to use as archetypes, and some of them are pretty simple. Grapplers are self-explanatory, big, strong, and they grab. Let me introduce you to Blitzcrank. There's more really have to be said about this guy. He's got the right arm of Exodia. He has a silence, which I feel can have utility in stopping your opponent from calling an assist for a short amount of time, or something along those lines. He's also a giant robot. And when you look at the original title that laid the foundation for 2XKO's groundwork, they were all just giant robots. So there's no way he's not going to be making it into the game. Now, regardless of what you might think, fighting games need zoners. Now, when I said earlier about expression of different playstyles, what I meant to say was a lot of people like to attack from afar, as opposed to being up in somebody's armpit. Allow me to introduce you to Fiddlesticks. If you ever played League, you understand the peekaboo frustration surrounding this guy. This dude is the definition of wait in the brush and then strike. I feel like his kit was made for a fighting game. He's got good crows from a distance, scythe cuts, he's got a tether, and that's not even including his surprise ultimate. So I want to add strategic pick as number 3. Not as good as my guilty pleasure as number 5, but more on that later. Now, when you go through the roster, there's some champions that you feel like were made for a fighting game. So some of these choices you're going to see in everybody else's list. They're kind of idiot proof. And let me introduce you to the blind man. Now, Lee Sin is not only one of the most dominant champions to ever come out of Riot's toolbox, but his kit. Yes, his kit, when used correctly, this looks like poetry. We're talking about a MOBA character that moves and acts as if he is in a fighting game already. I think the best representation for Lee Sin could be a mixture between Adon from the Alpha series and Fei Long. The amount of flying this guy can do between ally and enemy is pretty amazing. Look at this. Super annoying to deal with, but when he's on your team, come on. Now, there's another thing that we gotta follow in fighting games. We need a bad guy. And if I remember correctly, there's no other bad guy that fits more than Noxie in general. Let's talk about Swain. So there's been a few updates to the game, and Swain looks a bit different than what I remember, and his ultimate used to turn him into a giant crow. But regardless, this dude doesn't really have to even audition for the role of the bad guy in this game. I think it's locked up. He could be a zoner, he could be a fusion between JP and this guy. I can never remember his name. He can be ranged, maybe he's a bit trap based. I'm not really sure what to add, but I know that they can get pretty creative with this guy's playstyle. And he's also got a cane. Okay, so unpopular opinion, but I think we have to include a ninja. I know, super original. To be honest, of every other list I've ever seen, other people are gonna have Akali. Short and simple, she is the ninja. She has a glaive. She's probably a character that you can give a wall jump or a wall run to, and she's a waifu. Not really much to argue there. I guess it'd be a crazy missed opportunity if you didn't really include her. I know, and a lot of people would be upset. Speaking of being upset, this is my guilty pleasure at number 5. Unpopular opinion, maybe. There can be many better picks out there, but I need them to include the Monkey King. This guy would be perfect. Hear me out. We already have a similar character in fighting games, but not only would he be a good, well-rounded character in general, there'd be quite a bit of versatility that would come with his kit. He could fight at range, he would have a run mechanic. Even in League, he has this amazing move where he makes a clone and he can just run around freely, invisible for a couple seconds. He could always be developed with a very basic toolkit. His clone could be just like chips, or he could have a way to kind of send out the clone and jump to it. There's endless possibilities, but there's a lot that they can do in terms of having fun with this development. I know you're thinking, Chili, you spoke about 9 extra slots, but we only talked about 5. To be honest, one of these 5 characters I feel has a really good chance of making it into the game. These toolkits and these archetypes can be well represented within these kinds of characters. And I know there's other slots that can be picked, but let me know in the comments if there's some character that I haven't included in this list that you believe should have an honorable mention. Let's be real, 16 character slots means nothing if you have no idea how to really pick a main character. So here's something to get you started.